has that name.
You didn't look this up, did you?
No, I did look it up. Didn't see anybody with the name, but yes, it is myself, Anthony versus the Evil Dead, and Travis the Terminator. We still have the Chill and Killing podcast, but we thought maybe we add an extra podcast here and there where it's just me and Travis, and we talk about things usually with a film that has like a cult following, and or maybe a topic that maybe we can't get to when it comes to horror. But today, Travis texted me and he's like, "Oh, you know, it would be a great idea. Let's talk about the top 5 John Carpenter films, right?" And I've seen most of them. I probably only not have seen 3. And this guy tells me, "Oh, I thought we'll just watch all the movies in October and then do a podcast on it." And that's way too much work for me. I've seen all but 3 films. I don't know how many Travis has seen. So,
you've seen more than me. You've seen Vampires. I haven't.
Yeah. You didn't see Vampires?
I haven't seen Vampires. I haven't seen most of his 90s stuff.
Yeah, because I thought I had it on when you were, I think you were here for Halloween, right?
You did. I wasn't paying attention. Like, I can't really pay attention to movies when I'm at like a friend's house when there's like a party going on.
Yeah.
And there's like the movie was just on in the background, so I don't really count that.
Well, are you okay? So, what movie do you have in the back? You know, let's say you're painting your walls or something. What movie would you have in the background? Like an Adam Sandler movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm stupid.
So a movie you don't have to think about.
Like when we're at Ed's house, we put on like Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Like, I don't count that as something I've seen, because for me to see, I would like to be in my room and actually watch the movie.
Okay.
Like, pay attention. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we have the top 5 of our favorite John Carpenter films, and for me, it was a little difficult to come up with, probably the bottom end of this filmography. Again, this is our top favorites,
yes,
and ones that we've seen.
Yes.
So, like, I have no idea if The Ward is fucking great. But I've never seen it, so
I'm not counting his TV films. I'm not counting his little Elvis movie he did.
The Elvis movie thus far is the worst thing I've seen from John Carpenter.
Really?
It's too fucking long.
It's
like 3 hours.
If I had to give you his worst film, I have not seen Elvis, but I have to go with Ghosts of Mars.
Yeah.
Everything about that movie is just not good. Him and Ice Cube.
Yeah.
Ice Cube, a Carpenter film.
That's definitely up there. It's like they were like, it was like vampires but in space, or like because it was kind of supposed to be like Escape from Earth, I think was the name. Like they were gonna do the third Snake Plissken movie, Escape from New York, Escape from LA. It was gonna be like Escape from Earth, and it was gonna be, but instead it turned into Ghost of Mars, which, I thought it couldn't get worse from the whole surfing situation and Escape from LA, but clearly it was. But I don't. Are we doing like honorable mentions or what?
Yeah, we do honorable mentions.
I only limited myself to 1 though.
Me too.
Okay.
I can do 1, but for me, with the Ghost of Mars, I mean, just the casting is so wrong. Natasha Hemstring. She's still running off her fame from the Species movies. If anyone's even seen those, I never cared for those movies. Some of the special effects in that are nice, but that's really it. She was severely miscasted. I believe she got casted like a week prior to them starting filming. Why didn't her or Pam Grier switch roles? Pam Grier is a way better actress than Natasha. I felt she would have done more justice being a leading girl. It would have been a lot more fun. I don't know what the hell Carpenter was going with that movie. Was this supposed to be like a fun movie? I don't know. It's just that movie. I never finished it. I like gave up halfway through because it was just so bad.
Yeah, it's rough to get past like the first I think it's like one of the first scenes where they like you meet everybody in like the crew, and it's hard to get past that first scene.
Yeah,
but I mean, is that your honorable mention?
For movies I like, no. This is bottom of the barrel, and I didn't even get to Escape from LA yet. But I'll talk about that when I mention my top 5.
All right. Well, what's your honorable mention?
Prince of Darkness.
Okay.
No, I was debating between that and The Fog.
Okay.
But I
All
think
right.
Prince of Darkness, it's one of those films I think you need to watch it a few times to really understand it. Because I feel like the first time you watch it, at the end, you're just trying to like figure out like, how do I describe this movie? What do I think of it? It's like, do you like it? Because if you like it, is it something you would watch again? Because I remember when we reviewed it, it was a very mixed bag with everyone else. And I think me and you got it more than they did. It felt like a zombie movie, honestly. It's amazing. It amazes me Carpenter never made a zombie film.
Yep. You know what? To be fair to everybody else that was on the podcast that day, I've seen it like multiple times at that point. So like I definitely didn't like it when I first saw it, but now I really really like it. But let me say this, my honorable mention would be The Fog, and let me say it now before anybody's upset. The Thing is not in my top 5. I
Ooh,
fully I
wow.
fully understand that for me, I do think it's his best film, the most complete film, but it's like for my top 5, I kind of based it off of films I could see over and over again. And the thing, I kind of have to be in like a specific mood because it's a very downer story,
Mhm.
and there's other like more downer stories in my top 5, but I feel like there's more rewatch value in them for me than The Thing. But again, The Thing, I agree with Carpenter, who said that that was probably his best work. I do think The Thing is his best work, but is not in my top 5.
Okay, so I guess I'll let you go first. Number
Okay.
5, Cinco.
All right, number 5. We just spoke about it. It's Prince of Darkness. Yes,
Okay.
this movie has grown on me like moss on a rock. I don't know if that actually makes any sense at all, but as I said before, I did not love the film when I first saw it, but after watching it over and over again, then I truly started loving the film. Now, a lot of issues with Carpenter's films at this time, which is more of a generational thing, I think, is that there's not much happening. But with Carpenter, for some reason that works for me.
I
And yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say when people mention like a lot's not happening, you can make the same argument with The Fog. I feel like whatever doesn't happen with with the characters, he makes up with the atmospheric tone,
Yeah.
which is
No,
what really appreciate. Which is for me made me appreciate The Fog, even with Prince of Darkness a lot too.
yeah, no, I completely agree with that. And with this film, the reason it's a very downer story, there's a lot of like there's a self-harm in the film. There's a lot of things in the film. But I think the reason why it's so rewatchable for me is that I keep picking up more and more of the story every time I see it. From the first time I saw it, it was like, what the hell was that? I don't know what that was, but I kind of liked it. And then it kept growing and growing until I think I have a more complete version of the movie that I enjoy and what I think is supposed to happen. Plus, I love the ending because it's so dark and it's completely not what the audience would want to happen. And I like the Mercury scene with the mirror, even
Mm-hmm.
though we don't get to see what the main conflict is in that. It's still cool to see that object that comes out of there and what it's alluding to. So I like the whole aspect of the religion meets science thing, and I think it's really well done. A diverse cast as well, which is some of these same actors from Big Trouble in Little China,
Yeah,
and
you
I
got.
think it really works. Like I said, uh, I think it's one of those films that really makes you think, and that's why I love to rewatch it. Travis, what do you got for number 5?
I wanted to add to your Prince of Darkness that it definitely it reminded me a lot of the film The Beyond. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's directed by Lucio Fulci,
Mm-hmm.
and the ending to that film was very similar to Prince of Darkness. It's just that with his films, there's a lot more gore. With
Yeah.
Carpenter, he was never really much of a gory director.
Yeah.
He never really had a lot of gore in his films, especially, I guess, when I get to one of his slasher films, or slasher film when we get up the list. But I just wanted to add on that. My number 5, this one's going to be a bit of a head scratcher because I came out with a top 4, but I couldn't decide what my number 5 was going to be. Because as I mentioned, I didn't see all of his films. I didn't see Village of the Damned. I didn't see Vampires. I didn't see The Ward. I mean, but at least with The Ward, you could say, like, well, at least Ghost of Mars wasn't his last film.
Yeah.
But number 5, I always had a guilty pleasure with this film. It's you make jokes about this with me, Body Bags.
Okay.
This movie film. Originally, this was supposed to be Showtime's response to Tales from the Crypt. Tales of the Crypt was a big show on HBO. It amazes me that they don't air reruns of it on during October on HBO. They don't have HBO Max or anything. I believe it's a rights issue going on with the producers and the Gaines family and HBO. It seems to be a big mess over there. M. Night Shyamalan tried to revamp it, I think, a few years back. But I think it's just too much rights issues going on. I think it's owned by Disney, come to think of it. Yeah, imagine, coming soon to us.
Oh, do we own that? Oh.
Hello, kitties. Oh.
But I definitely saw that as your top 5, by the way.
Yeah, but with because I was debating between this and The Fog. But with Body Bags, Carpenter's a great host. You would have to do no makeup on him, just wake up and come on set. He directed 2 of the stories. The last one was directed by Toby Hooper, Texas Chainsaw Massacre fame. Very solid cast. You have Stacy Keach, who he worked with again in Escape from L.A., Mark Hamill, who he worked with again in Village of the Damned. He has his little crew of people he likes to work with. It seems like they rotate every decade or so. Like in early years, he had Charles Cypher, I think was his name, who was in Halloween, Assault at Precinct 13. I think he was in The Fog as well. Adrienne Barbeau, of course, one of his earlier, until they went their separate ways, and then she went by.
Yeah.
But I always liked this film. It's always been a fun movie for me. And of course, at the end, you get a cameo from Toby Hooper, and of all people, Tom Arnold. I don't know where Tom Arnold connects with John Carpenter, but he's in there.
Maybe he was fresh off of True Lives at that time.
No, I think this came out before True Lies. I think True Lies was 94. Okay. I think this was either 93 or 92, this movie. But originally, this was supposed to be an actual TV show. But for whatever reason, they decided to make it into, I guess, a TV film instead. I don't know if you would count this as an actual movie or a TV film, since it premiered on Showtime.
Did you ever see Master of Horror?
Yes.
Masters of Horror. Okay, how's that as far as an anthology? No?
I thought the show was hit and miss. I like some stories. I know he did 2 episodes, 1 in each season. He did one called Cigarette Burns. It features Norman Reedus from Walking Dead. That story was all right. I have to watch it again. It's been a while. I mean, we're going back like over 10 years at this point since I've last seen the show. And he did another episode in the second season I think it was called Pro-Life. It starred Ron Perlman was in it. Him and that doctor that's on one of those USA shows. I can't remember. Royal Pains, the leading doctor in that show. I think he's in that too. He plays the doctor in that movie as well.
I remember him from his great role in Knucklehead. He was like the fighting promoter.
I never seen that movie. I know exactly what you're talking about. I just seen The Chaperone.
All right, so I guess we'll go to number 4. And my number 4, well, I'm going to be honest. The next 3, if you've ever listened to the Chillin' Killin' podcast, you'll know what the next 3 are.
I wonder we're going to match.
I'm wondering too. But my number 4, a bit out of left field, is Christine. Oh. It's the John Carpenter directed, did not write it. It's a Stephen King, based off a Stephen King book. And for me, the thing about this film that really gets to me is I don't care about cars at all. Same. And this film got me to care about a killer car. I do like Death Proof more, But
Hmm.
I like this film. I love the gas station scene, especially when the car gets on fire. I love the actor that was also in Back to School, Ronnie Dangerfield. I think his progression. Yes, I get it. It's very like Jamie Foxx from Electro, but it kind of worked back then with the 80s kind of formula. I liked his progression becoming more evil, and the reverse effects of the car, setting itself back up, and then also the ending. By the way, I'll say it now. We did not spoil anything from our first two picks, but from here on in, we will say spoilers. So don't listen to this if you haven't seen these films. But I love the ending where you kind of see that little moment of that car coming back to life, even though it was compounded or whatever at the junkyard. So that was great. And yeah, I just think overall slasher film with a car. The fact that Carpenter, kind of took this as a paycheck film, and I think he did a really great job with the story. I'm not a huge Stephen King fan when it comes to his films or films that are based off his work, but I really enjoyed this film. I actually hopefully will check out the book at some point.
You know, I did not care for Christine that much. I mentioned in our review, I just found the film a bit underwhelming, which is surprisingly to say because it's like it's John Carpenter and Stephen King. Like that's a match made in heaven. That's like King of Romero. So I don't know. I just felt like something was missing with this movie for me. I can't really put my finger on it. I like the casting. I always thought Arnie. I always thought he was in Fright Night for the longest time. He's in Fright Night. He's the
Yeah.
But it was
That where that's Williams Ragsdale.
actor, yeah, I've seen him. Yeah, I don't know what this. I did like the effects. Everything you said, I agree with. I like the gasoline, the gas station scene, everything blown up. But you see Christine coming about. To me, that was a scene that really sold Christine. Like, oh my gosh, like she's practically almost unstoppable. You have to drop like a bulldozer on her to really like put an end to her. And of course, at the end, it just reminds us from Scream. This is the part when the killer gets one last. Christine plays back to the bone.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I would put Christine if I was to rank all his films like more like the middle to the bottom. It may surprise some people, but that's always how I felt about the film. Unless all his other 90s movies were like really underwhelming as well, which I guess they were for the most part. But on to my number 4, Escape from New York, 1981. I believe he got funding from this film from writing the screenplay for Halloween 2. We mentioned he's done stuff just to kind of collect a paycheck, just to help fund other films. And him writing the screenplay for that, I think, played a role in this. They wanted him to direct Halloween 2, but I believe he didn't want to because he wanted to do this. It's not a horror movie. It's pretty dark. It almost feels like the same setting from Halloween in a sense, just put it in a city. I loved all the miniature sets that they use in this film. It really brings out the charm a lot in me. You might not know this, but John Carpenter always wanted to make a Western movie. And you kind of see that, I guess, with Kurt Russell's character, Snake Plissken. He's basically like a future cowboy. He's basically Clint Eastwood with an eye patch. You had Ox Baker in this film, professional wrestler. He had a little cameo. They had that wrestling scene with him and Russell. Carpenter is not the best action director. He tried to go out of his realm here a bit. It was fine for me. It could have been better. Yeah. Funny because if you would have asked me last year when we were watching this, I would have said, this film would have benefited better if it had more money. But then you watch Escape from LA, which had more money.
Yeah.
And we got that. I felt like, I don't know, with LA, if Carpenter was trying to make I don't know if funny was the right word, maybe like a humorous sequel to if he was trying to Evil Dead 2 it and it just didn't work at all. I mean, he completely underutilized Bruce Campbell in that movie.
My theory on that
What's
is
that?
that I think that he was so upset about the studio system that he made that movie as ridiculous as possible just to get back at the studio.
Fuck
That's my
you,
theory on it. Dude, listen, there was a fucking like a tidal wave or whatever, and they had Snake Plissken fucking surfing. I'm telling you, he did that shit on purpose.
You know, it makes sense. That sounds like Carpenter seems like a petty person.
But yeah, no, I really like Escape from New York. The wrestling scene really upsets me. I mean, I guess the hardcore wrestling match, the death match, really upsets me because it should have been way better. Snake Plissken is definitely in the realm of characters that I would love. Anti-establishment, fuck your president, all that shit, you know. But it wouldn't be in my top 5 because I think it's I've seen so many movies of just generation that had so many great action scenes, and this film I think desperately needed that.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't have it. So again, it's like one of those Carpenter, just it kind of falls by the waist when it comes to that. But I really love Snake Plissken.
Yeah.
I think what do you think that I would be okay with a remake of this? Because I think the added action in it would I think it would. I mean, I understand why someone wouldn't want to, but for me, the only thing that's kind of untouchable is Snake Plissken, and I don't think you shouldn't remake a movie just because of one character. I think the story could definitely benefit with today's special effects and choreography.
I think I brought this up when we review one of our reviews when I mentioned because at one point Robert Rodriguez was interested in doing a remake.
He loves Robert Rodriguez.
He loves Robert Rodriguez. Rodriguez loves this movie. That was one of his big inspirations for getting into filmmaking. He definitely would be the right director for it. I would love this. I would love if his Troublemaker Studios was behind on the project. I don't know. I never really thought about it.
So if you saw it today, you saw I don't know. I couldn't put an actor in there.
I was gonna say, who the hell would you cast as Snake? His son?
Anyone that looks good. Anyone that looks good in an eye patch.
Why? You want to take over your father's role?
You know what? I think I read that, you know, you always read things about remakes and things in the works. I think I read that Wyatt was going to be Snake Plissken. And it was probably 2 years ago at this point. I heard, you know, I've also, you know, The Rock. I've heard all that. So.
Oh, The Rock. Oh.
Well, when you have a remake, you just gotta throw The Rock at it.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything else you want to say about it?
Solid casting. Adrienne Barbeau. I think was this her last film? Carpenter movie, I believe she did. You got your boy Tom Atkins. Little supporting role.
It's always great to see Tom Atkins. I want to do Maniac Cop. I really love that movie.
I've always we can do Maniac Cop. I've always liked the first 2 films. The third one, the voice actor who plays Mermaid Man on SpongeBob, he was a taxi driver with the disco ball.
Well, how'd you feel about the Duke?
The Duke, I like the Duke.
Yeah, I like
Isaac Hayes, right?
Yes, I like his Cadillac with the chandeliers. So, all right. How about the only thing about the film that's like a little weird? It's a little weird because in the United States, you're not allowed to become or run for president unless you were born in the country. You can become a citizen.
You gotta be over 35 years of age too.
Yeah, you can't. You can become a citizen here, but you can't run. I think it's the only office you can't run, being an immigrant. But in this film, I don't know what accent Donald Pleasance was doing, but he was the president of the United States. So, and then that last scene where he's like shooting from the top of the big giant wall. Oh man. But he got his in the end with the tape recording, right?
See, that movie had more humor to it than a sequel. He was trying more in the second one with the humor.
More intentional, definitely. All right, so let's go to number 3 for me and Travis. Number 3 for me, it's a classic. It's his first huge hit It's 1978's Halloween. Halloween, one of the greatest slasher films of all time. I think if you look at it in today's lens, if you've never seen or if you've seen a bunch of slasher films and this is the first time you've seen Halloween, it won't have the same impact.
No.
But for me, who enjoys film, and I love this film. It's very simple because everyone took the formula from this film, but I love the film. I love Michael Myers in this film. To me, this is the only time I liked Michael Myers in 2018, but this is the only film that the true Michael Myers resides in, and we'll see about Halloween Kills. But just it's so crazy to me because I'm a huge Halloween fan, right? And it's so crazy to me that there's so many not only Halloween movies, games, toys, shit like that, that they cannot get this fucking mask right. The 1978 mask, right? And I watched a documentary. It's like a short documentary where this guy goes to, landmarks of film. And he went to go see Tommy Lee Wallace, who worked on the film. He did Fright Night 2. He did Halloween 2. Oh, 3, I'm sorry. He refused to do Halloween 2. And this guy took a regular mask. I think it was like a Shatner mask. And he made it look exactly like the 78 mask. And it was super easy. I was like, why don't you just hire him to do it in all these films? And I know the Halloween Kills film, which we're going to review on the Chill and Killing podcast, is going to include a scene from the 78 film. But, this film, it was the blueprint of slasher films. It includes the final girl, everything you need. It's all in there. And there's this kind of like a grittiness to it, even though it's not actually. I think it's filmed in LA, and they dropped some. I believe they dropped some leaves. They painted watermelons to orange. So yeah, but I love Halloween. I think it's a staple for the Halloween season. It's always hard for me. Most of the time, I'll have like a little get together on Halloween. Nothing too crazy. I'll set aside some Starbursts and Skittles for myself,
Of course.
and I'll have some friends over. And it's always hard for me to decide which film is going to end the night, Halloween or Trick or Treat, because I love them both so much, and they're the perfect Halloween film to watch. And I'm talking about the holiday, not the film, of course. So, Travis, what is your number 3?
I'm just gonna say now. Halloween's my number 2.
Come on!
I know, but we're talking about Halloween so much.
I knew Halloween was gonna be in there. Yeah. That's why I gave you the opening to talk about your 3, so we could go back to Halloween.
All right, yeah, we're gonna go back to that. I'm sorry. My number 3 is another Carpenter film we recently filmed. My top 3.
We filmed it. We were there. We were the videographers. Go ahead.
Yeah, my top 3 Carpenter films are films that I love, that I can watch over and over for the most part. Number 3 is They Live, Roddy Piper, Keith David. I still got the sweater. I got the khaki pants. I already know what I'm gonna be for Halloween. This came out. He did this right after, I believe, Prince of Darkness, because this came out 88. Again, I'm not going to talk about too much about it. You can just listen to our previous review. We did it on the Chill and Killing podcast. Touches a lot on everything that was happening in the 80s at the time, Reaganomics, on the fact that we got a professional wrestler, Roddy Piper, in this role. And I thought he did great in this role. I really liked him. Memorable one-liners, memorable quotes. It fits right into that 80s trend of famous one-liners, Arnold and Sly and all of them. So his film has a bit of everything. I think action-wise, this is probably his best film, Carpenter. I mean, unless you want to make an argument for Big Trouble in Little China, since that was more of his love letter to martial arts. Yeah, man, just everything about this film, the casting, the story, as I'm touched upon, the Reaganomics, and the ending. I love the ending of the film. It's one of my favorites.
I happen to agree with you, and I'll go to let's go with your number 2 since you already told people about it. So your number 2 is Halloween. You want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yes. Let me start by saying I hate the Halloween franchise.
Damn,
I don't
son.
think I've seen a horror franchise that's hit the reset button so many times.
Mm-hmm.
Reset.
It's
Restart.
confusing. It's confusing for
It's
you, right?
confusing. Reset. Rob Zombie, here, fix this cartridge. You try. Oh, that was pretty good. Do it again. That was Never mind. I'll do it. God, how many times have they hit the reset button on this franchise? And come to think of it, I believe Jamie Lee Curtis has appeared in more Halloween films than she has it, because she was in 1, 2, Resurrection, H2O, and the new one in 2018. Mm-hmm. She wasn't in 3, 4, 5, unless you want to count the zombie movies.
She technically is in 3. She's like the voice on the speaker in 3. But yeah, she's not physically in there. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So we can argue she's appeared in more Halloween films than she's not.
Yeah.
But I think what makes Halloween work for me, especially with the ending, if you look at it as a standalone film, the ending is one of the best. I love the ending to this film. Donald Pleasance, Dr. Loomis looks down off the balcony. His body's not there. Dun, 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 dun. And then it starts showing all these dark places where he could be hiding. He could be anywhere. Roll credits. Beautiful. If this was like Friday the 13th Part 6, and that's how Part 6 ended, that would have been terrible. Mm-hmm. Stupid. We sat through all this for him to still be alive? Fuck.
Yeah.
But again, here's a movie that never should have been a franchise. I love Halloween. The reason the Halloween movies still work today. They're still feeding off the very first film. We're getting these new movies now because they're following up on just that first movie. They don't even acknowledge number 2. They don't acknowledge the Thorn trilogy. They don't acknowledge Zombie, H2, Josh Hartnett, H2O, LL Cool J.
Mm-hmm.
But everything,
Busta Rhymes.
Busta Rhymes. But yeah, this film was practically as you mentioned, the blueprint of the 80s slasher movies. Because Halloween, I mean, they weren't as crazy as like Friday the 13th was. They didn't really have a lot of gore to them. And then they try to keep it more grounded, and you could argue whether that was good or not. I mean, I did like Part 4. But, but back to this film, everything about this movie works. Just the casting, the palm trees, and I was going to mention something, damn it. The director of photography, I believe it was by someone by the name of Dean Condry. He did the cinematography for Jurassic Park.
Yes, he did.
I
think it's pronounced Dean Cundy.
Cundy.
Yeah.
Cundy.
Yeah, he did.
Cundy.
He did.
There's no R, okay.
He actually became a pretty famous and notable cinematographer, which of course he did Jurassic Park, which completely changed the movie business.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it killed the stop motion. But I guess that's another discussion.
And it friggin' was responsible for all these terrible spin-off dinosaur movies that came out around that same time. Tammy
and the T-Rex, which you can find on Shudder right now. Free plug there. Well, I wanted to say that there was a trailer that came out, and there is somewhat of a scene of the 78 film. I won't bring up what exactly. And like it kind of like not upset me because it's just entertainment, but it was like, damn it. Because it kind of makes the first film look a certain way. But then I'm like, I like Halloween 2. If it's back to back with 1, I like Halloween 2.
Yeah, that's the only way the second one works, is if you watch it back to back.
I like Halloween 2. I like Halloween 3. I love Halloween 3. Tom Atkins, baby.
Of course.
I hate Halloween 4. I literally do not understand the love for this film. I guess you had to grow up at the time, because it's like you didn't get Michael in Halloween 3, and you're like, what the hell? I get the love for like the Jamie character and the Rachel character. Don't even get me started on 5. Fucking Tina, the worst character for me in all of cinema. Just terrible. We were talking about horror films. I was with a group of people, and then I just heard someone start bop it up, bop it up, bop it up. I'm like, you stop that right now. I know exactly what you're talking about. You stop that. So yeah, but yeah, I agree. Halloween, one of his best
Yeah, I'll
blueprint
get
for a
into more
slasher film.
detail with that film once I That's actually the next episode for Fractured Skull, so we're gonna tackle the original Halloween.
Which you can find on Patreon, patreon.com/Just Chillin' Network. For $1 a month, you get exclusive podcasts from Travis the Terminator and Monoxide. It's really worth it. You also get early access to a lot of our podcasts and all that. All right, number 2. I'll go on this one.
Well, yeah, I already said my number 2, Halloween.
Yeah. So this one is depending on the day. We have many podcasts, so I might have put this one number 1 at one point. It's depending on the day. I freaking love this film. John Carpenter's Big Trouble in Little China. It's a ghost martial arts, somewhat of a detective film. It has magic. It has everything you need, and I think the best part of this film is secretly the Jack Burton character played by Kurt Russell is not the actual hero in this movie. He's actually pretty much an idiot who's just looking for his truck. And I think it has, there's one scene that maybe doesn't play off so well in today's day and age where they go to the parlor, the massage parlor, and it's kind of the stereotypical kind of Asian stereotype stuff. Other than that, I think that the film does a pretty good job of diversity, and maybe I would have loved to have seen how John Carpenter got that through with the studio, because this is around the same time that with Mickey Rooney's playing a Japanese character in Molly Ringwald movie, which, with the big teeth and all that. So, but this movie is great. I love Jack Burton. I love how unconventional of a hero he is. The stupid names in here. Lopan. The script is nothing to really write home about, but this is just a crazy. There's no way for me to explain how crazy this movie is and why it works for me, but it just does. The fight scene I really enjoyed as well. It's just such a great and fun film to have and to put on TV or your Blu-ray, 4K, whatever you do. And I don't think it came out on 4K yet, but it's just a great film to just sit back, watch, and just have fun. It's definitely like a popcorn style film, and I really love it. I think the music is great. I have the actual vinyl as well. I only have one vinyl, and it's Big Trouble in Little China. It has great art. It's from Mondo. But yeah, it's just such a great film. Lopan being kind of like a ghost who wants to live forever. That scene where one of his stooges is he blows up. It really comes out of nowhere. The lightning character, which is the inspiration for Mortal Kombat's Raiden. So this film has a lot, even though it failed at the time, it really had a lot of cultural impact on pop culture in the United States, including video games like Mortal Kombat. So it's just such a great film. I really, truly love it. Dennis Dung, by the way, is the true hero of this film, who plays Wang. I just wanted to make sure that I got the name right. But yeah, and I think he actually does a really good job as the hero character. The only thing I would say about this film, other than the script is what it is that they kind of throw in there the love story between Wang and the green-eyed girl. Gracie Law is also very over the top, but I don't know, it's kind of charming for me. So, who's played by Kim Cattrall. Travis, I don't know if you want to go to your number 2, but let us know.
Well, I already told you my number 2 was Halloween.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, now we're going to number one, and we'll go with you first.
Yeah. Originally, Dennis Dunn's character was supposed to be played by Jackie Chan.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
That would
but
have been his first U.S. film.
yes, but at the time his English wasn't great, so they passed on him.
Okay.
Amazing. What if Jackie Chan worked with John Carpenter?
It should be a Disney Plus show. What if?
Number one, this one's kind of a no-brainer. I haven't mentioned it yet. You have, but I love this movie. It's The Thing, a remake of the 1950s classic. John Carpenter's take on it, based on the book Who Goes There. I mentioned that a Carpenter always wanted to make a Western film. Well, look who's doing the score for this movie, Ennio Morricone, known for his Western movies. The Ecstasy of Gold, that's like many people consider that to be his masterpiece. The Modelo uses his score in their commercials to promote their little alcohol. But we reviewed this film already. I'm gonna be a broken record. What can I say? I love everything about this film. The atmosphere, the soundtrack, the tone, the actors, the special effects. I think Greg Nicotero owns some of the props to this film. I know I've seen him post on his Instagram. He's posted pictures of like with the effects with his dog. So it's always pretty cool to see that. It's what can I say about this film? Everything about it works. I believe this is his best movie. A lot of people debate between this and Halloween. I love Halloween as well, but I see myself rewatching this film more so than Halloween. I mean, Halloween's a film I can watch a lot during, like, as you mentioned, the fall time, Halloween time. But the thing is, like, a movie you can just pop in anytime of the year. Every time it's on TV, I always have it on in the background. Even if I'm doing something else, I just love hearing the score, hearing the dialogue. What can I say? What else is there to say? I fucking love The Thing. I love this movie. It's it's very unfortunate that Carpenter's films were never big financial successes. This film came out a week right after E.T. So imagine seeing that movie and then you see this. It's just complete opposite. Plus, it had competition that year. It was going up against Star Trek 2, which is like the best Star Trek film ever. It just seems like with Carpenter's movies, he makes the right movies at the wrong time. And then they eventually find their audience, years later. But if you guys have not seen this film, I heavily recommend it. Check it out. Go out of your way to see it. I don't know if it's on the Stars app, whichever app it's on. Find it, watch it, be mesmerized by it.
I think it is on the Stars app. It might be on like Peak. I don't know. They lives on Peacock.
Which is Peacock. I didn't body bags.
Which is my number one. And the thing, again, I fully respect. I do think it's his best movie. The dialogue's great. The fact that the monster is changing throughout, it's a great, like, who is it kind of film, like a Clue kind of film. The ending is very dark as well, but I think it fits because it makes you question who is the thing at that point. It's an alien movie. It is influenced a lot, including a very popular show nowadays, which is Stranger Things. They used a lot of the thing monster in there. They also referenced it.
Yeah, they've used one of the scores. Oh no, they used one of the scores from Escape from New York in that show.
Yeah, and it's one of the best remakes of all time.
I agree.
Because the original film was a film that John Carpenter loved when he was a kid. It's actually pretty good. Vastly different from what this film is, but I think it's pretty good. But he took that idea and really expanded upon it, and that's how a remake should be. Yes. And I heard some rumors, which he kind of confirmed as well, that Blumhouse is working on a new Thing film with John Carpenter. Whether that's music, I don't know. I know Carpenter's not fond of doing anything else but music and playing his video games.
Well, look, him doing music is better than him just walking on set collecting a paycheck. Like the fucking Fog, which in my opinion is one of the worst remakes I've ever seen.
Yeah. Well, I said it before. My number one is They Live, Roddy Piper, Keith David, Meg Foster, and Buck Flowers, of course, who's a regular in Carpenter films as well.
Always playing a homeless guy.
Just Well, it's hard to decide between this and Big Trouble because I have more fun with Big Trouble. But They Live is one of those films that define me as a person. It has such a big idea. It's the aliens is just such a great look. The idea of the color and black and white situation. Roddy Piper, of course, with my wrestling background, I can't hate on that. I think he does a really good job in here. Yes, he's not an Academy Award winning actor. There's a strange scene in there where he talks, I'm not daddy's little boy anymore. But other than that, I really love the idea of this film. I think it's executed pretty well. I do think that this film could be remade and with technology and all that. The only issue is it's kind of saying a lot of the truth of what's going on.
Technology, yes. The theme, I don't know.
Well, it would definitely be watered down. And
Yeah.
Keith David in his interview, which I think is on YouTube, but it came from like the special editions, Blu-rays and stuff, said that this film was #1 for like 3 weeks and just disappeared. It's kind of like, kind of playing into the whole They Live theme of like, I don't know, maybe it upset people because it was too true and stuff like that. So I love this film. It's such a great film, such a great idea, so well executed. And again, another character of Nada who's never even mentioned his name till the credits. Another like middle finger to the man, and that really speaks to me. And I just really love this film. I have all the toys, all that. So yes, Travis, this was quite the experience. This was the first time we've ever done a podcast, just you and I, Beyond the Cult, episode 1. I really had a good time with you. Hopefully we can continue to grow this and make it more regular. This was a great idea on your end. I don't know about watching all the films over again. Please skip Elvis. If you skip any of them, skip Elvis. But anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
Another Carpenter film I've seen we haven't mentioned at all on this episode was I've seen In the Mouth of Madness. I say about a year ago with Sam Neill. Again, it feels like another Lucille Fulci type film. It doesn't really make much sense.
Yeah,
I thought it was okay. I'd have to give it another watch. It's been a while. Yeah, that's really all I wanted to say. Yeah, Beyond the Cult podcast. We're gonna bend the rules a bit when it comes to the horror genre. We may touch upon other things or other topics that we may come across. I would like to do one, on the ideas of remakes, reboots, sequels. I think that'll be a pretty fun discussion as well. And we'll just see where this goes. May do another top 10 or top 5 list of something.
Yeah. No, definitely. We'll definitely do some more top 10s. We'll definitely, if there's like a big news story, we'll definitely touch upon films that we don't get to touch upon on our horror podcast, like maybe Escape from New York, some Arnold Schwarzenegger films, some Rocky films, maybe. But from Anthony versus the Evil Dead, from Travis the Terminator, thank you for tuning in, and hopefully you stick with us. Take care.